I know you're anxious to hear from the crew, as I am, but I want to emphasize that we only have 4 crewmen up here when we usually have 7. And yet they had the work to do of 7 crewmen up there, and this was a very, very busy flight. They offloaded thousands of pounds of badly needed cargo on the International Space Station, and by the way, loaded thousands of pounds of cargo back onto the shuttle to bring home. And they worked constantly to do that. And that was no small task. And we were amazed. In fact, we were joking at some of the mission management team daily meetings. We said, gosh, we could have been flying 4 crewmen all these years. We didn't want that to get out there, but they did an amazing job, an amazing crew up there. If we have to quit flying the shuttle, and we do, it's nice to go out on top. And you took us out on top. You made all of us look good, and thank you. With that, I'd like to introduce the commander of STS-135, Captain Chris Ferguson. Nice landing, Chris.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you all for coming out in mass like this. I think this is living proof that the dream is still alive and will remain alive through this little period of layoff, if you will, that we're going to have for the next few years. I have, and by the way, it's duly noted that I'm sitting and you're standing, and we'll keep this appropriately short. And again, I know it's an extremely warm summer afternoon in Houston, but we just have a few things we want to say. First, I have 3 key groups that we have to thank. Not the least of which, and the first and foremost, is the Commander-in-Chief of my household, my wife, Sandy Ferguson. Sandy, you have let me follow my childhood dreams for a lot of years now, and for that I'm ever appreciative. And to my children, Laura, Eric, and Ian, you have the best mom in the universe, and you're great in your own right, and you're great because of your mom. Second, I have to thank the architects of this mission, and they are our IPT chairperson, Steve Gaylor, our launch package management team, Steve Huning, our chief flight director on the shuttle side, Kwasi Alabarujo, and our chief flight director on the station side, Chris Edelin. You guys made a fantastic plan, and all we had to do was execute it, and thank you very much. And then finally, the third group, if I could go back 40 years and thank anybody who had anything to do with the architecture of the shuttle and the fact that it had trials and tribulations that we managed to work through over the last, I say 30, but it's really 40 if you consider how long it took to develop and then launch the space shuttle. All I can really do is just highlight what I call the modern day titans of the program, and I know that I'm going to leave some names out, and for those of you whose names I leave out, I apologize. But I'm going to highlight John Shannon, Leroy Kane, Mike Moses, Bill MacArthur, and John Casper. And I know I'm leaving names out, but you guys are the ones who lead this team, and I would ask that you convey our thanks to everyone who led the show. It's hard to keep a vehicle safe and effective up until the day it's retired. There's always that tendency to slack off, and you guys have managed it, I think, through one of the most tumultuous periods that in an aircraft's or an airframe's lifespan, and that is just prior to retirement. You did a wonderful job, and you all, in my opinion, deserve a resounding round of applause. Yeah. we have, as a crew, have tried to keep things very upbeat and to keep it a celebration of, like I said, the trials and tribulations of the shuttle's 30 years. We have done fantastic things, and I know you've heard us talk about them. You know what they are. I don't need to repeat them. But there are going to be challenges. There's going to be some challenges as we go forward from here. And the challenge is going to be keep not only our focus on where we are headed, but to try to keep the American public focused as well. There was an interesting article in the Wall Street Journal this morning, and it began that in spite, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember the exact first paragraph, but it said that in spite of the additional attention paid to the final mission of the space shuttle, that the overall attention paid to the space program by the American public is still, I think the word they used was waning, but I can't remember exactly what it was. I would actually like to take the alternate tact, and that tact would be that if there is interest that's waning, and there is a certain degree of that, I would say that what we need to do is we need focus. We need a 10 or 20-year focus, a plan that cannot be deviated from. We need a very clear objective to go forward from this point.
Yeah!
Once we get that objective, and once we start building that next vehicle, and that next vehicle is not too far away, once we start building that vehicle, we will get the interest of the American public, because I believe that if we build it, they will come. I just want to conclude by just illustrating how far-reaching the interest in what we do here in Houston here and what the interest in this final flight has been. I got a shout out for our folks, our soldiers in Afghanistan. It's Corporal Tyler Ruiz Tyson of Friendswood. Hey, you're not in Afghanistan. I know we have a lot of our friends, friends, perhaps relatives that are serving overseas. Well, these folks from the 3-2 Battalion, Lima Company, 3rd Platoon from Camp Lejeune have been watching this mission, and they vow that they follow NASA, and they followed every single step of the STS-135 on mission from the very beginning to the very end, and for that we thank you. And we thank you for your service. I said yesterday at Kennedy Space Center, what you do in space is not nearly as important as who you do it with. And I had the privilege of serving with what I consider to be 3 of the most dynamic, professional, and at times even entertaining people that I could ever imagine. To my left is the pilot, Doug Hurley. You know, if there could be co-commanders on a mission, Doug would have been the co-commander of this mission. He backed me up. He checked my each and every move. He saved me on a couple occasions, and he did all things robotic. I mean, he did the Flight Day 2 and the landing inspection pretty much single-handedly with a little bit of help. Of course, we were spread a little thin. He assisted in the transfer. He did an incredible undocking and fly around, and in my opinion, it was just an absolute pleasure to serve with him. My one regret is that there's not another mission left for him to command. So, pilot Doug.
Thanks, Chris. I will also try to keep it really short, but there's one element of a shuttle mission that can't be ignored and is a huge part of a success or reasonable amount of success that you may have in orbit, and that is training. And we lucked out. We got the pick of the litter with our training team. Juan Garriga, we can't thank you enough, and just to put a little bit more on this, these folks knew that the end of their program was coming, and they chose to be our trainers till the end, and that is just true dedication.